And here are your hosts, RJ Young and Brandon Drumm.
What's up, kidfolk? It's RJ Young. I am here with Brandon Drumm. This is a couple hours after Lincoln Riley's spring football presser practice deal where he said a lot of things, some of which I thought was interesting. Brandon, not so much. Brandon, why don't you think this was really...
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I just thought there was nothing like super groundbreaking, like I figured, we would get to hear a little bit of, their position movements that possibly have already happened. I thought somebody might ask, hey, look, what are some of the personnel movements that you all have made? Like Kenneth Murray is one of the most intriguing guys, heading into this, speed D that they call it. Is he going to fit into the mic? Or are they going to slide Levi Draper or a Deshaun White over there? Is Kenneth Murray going to move over to the rush backer? I mean, he fits that with his size, his speed. I mean, the guy ran a 4.59 40. Last year he ran a 4.52, and he's hovering around 245. I mean, he's big enough. He's tall enough. He's fast enough. I don't know if he has the bend for it. I mean, there's a lot of interesting aspects about Kenneth Murray in this defense that it's going to be fun to watch as a spring and obviously as a summer and as we get into fall. That was probably the one thing I was looking most forward to, and there wasn't a lot of that. Obviously, Riley talked to toe the line with the Mordecai and the Jalen Hurts, and we all know Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter. But he can't publicly say that. And I mean, other than that, I don't know. I mean, the adult camp was an interesting little talk. I would love to be able to just cover that, just to be able to be a guy they let in, just go in there and write like a piece on it as it unfolds after your experience of doing that. I think that was pretty interesting.
Hell, I got half of mine to just sign up.
I know.
I know. Here's my monthly check or whatever, and just go and then just vlog it on YouTube. I understand there's a lot of folks that are listening right now, and there's a lot of folks out there who aren't, who absolutely are 100% in on the men's fantasy football camp. But right. Yeah, I would like to cover it from the standpoint of covering recruiting. I would like to give adults a dose of just what it is that we do, and the way that we talk about the kids, we'll talk about you. Huh? How wide is your behind? You know what? That stomach ain't gonna make it out here at Oklahoma, fam. Nah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're just not gonna get an offer. Okay? I understand you're from the state of Oklahoma, but you're just not good enough to come here. Like, I would love to be able to do that as well. But that's the beginning of the end of it. I think that you could have gotten more out of this by just bringing back the ladies camp and the ladies football clinics, because goodness knows there are a lot of folks that really love that thing, and I don't know what you're really serving by letting grown-ass men, pardon me.
He's bringing them back. He said he's bringing it.
Next spring. Next spring.
So,
why isn't it here this spring? I don't know.
I'm with you on that. I thought that was. I always wondered what happened to that, because that thing was really fun for the ladies. I thought it was fun to just watch them get out there and try to do some of the things, and they realize just how hard it is, but they have a good time doing it.
No, I think more from the standpoint of they're able to talk about this in such a way already that it is intelligent, and when they come out of that thing, they have an experience that a lot of other folks don't have, specifically men.
Right.
And men, that football is played by men. I would love to just have an opportunity for women to be like, you know what, getting out of a three-point stance really isn't that hard, and y'all make it out to be this big deal. And it's not. It's not. I would really like them to have an opportunity
pushing on you
to be like, no, I run a faster 40 than you, husband. I geek on that kind of stuff, because my mom's a football person. She loves the game. But there's just too much chauvinism and machismo in this. But we're talking way too much about a men's fantasy football camp. So, I thought that you make a good point about Kenneth Murray Jr. and what he's doing. The thing I also wanted to know and wanted him to speak to Derek Green and Ron Tatum and junior college or grad transfers on the defensive line, because they're doing what I've thought and what you've thought and what our reporting has supported, which is get bigger at smaller positions and get smaller at bigger positions. Now, what I also found terribly frustrating about this presser, he refused to say what formation they're running. We're going to call it the speed D. All right, cool. I'll put that on a t-shirt. What?
It's a 3-4.
I get that, but let him say that is what I'm saying. Let him come out and say that. Why not? What do you have to lose by telling us that you're running a 3-4 with a stand-up rush in? Cool. We all understand that. We're smart football people. Instead of getting us all jazzed up about what we already know is going to be a big spring game, speak to the things that fans are smart. Fans want information, you know? And why don't you speak to those things?
Yeah, and the other thing I found interesting was the A.D. Miller thing. I mean, that was...
No, that came out of left field, yeah.
Yeah, that did. That was the one thing that kind of was like, wait, what?
I'm glad he got out in front of that.
Here's the crazy part. What are they going to do with, Pryor? I mean, the JUCO. I mean, do they have a spot for him?
No, I don't think. Well, okay, so he said this. He said, A.D. Miller does not cost us a scholarship.
Yeah, I understood that, but I mean, how does that, in retrospect, because how does that affect Pryor's blue shirt or whatever, however they're trying to work that into the 2019 class?
You know, it's really difficult to tell who is a take here. And it's really difficult to tell why they're taking who they're taking. Because, yeah, we get that the wide receivers are always going to be like running backs. You want to have a bunch of them. But it's not that DJ Graham and Trevin West aren't good players. They're absolutely great players.
Well, DJ told me, and I wrote about this on our site, that he feels he's coming in as a defensive back.
Right, which is a problem. Because you and I are doing the math here. 3 is the number, right, on CBs, and that dude ain't necessarily playing safety. You know,
I think 4. I think they want 4 corners.
See, and that's that. Okay, so we're gonna get this sussed out.
Yeah, but they're gonna fudge. They're trying to fudge some numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get that DJ can go either way, you know, because that might be this year's Michael Thompson, which again is another weird friggin' story. Oh, we first offered the kid at offensive tackle. Well, it's clear he wanted to play defensive tackle.
Yeah,
and it's clear he had opportunities to do that elsewhere. And I got some reporting too, like I'm sure you do, that he put on weight during the rehab, and I'm going, yeah, because he thought he was going to play the nose. He thought he was going to play the 0 in Mike Stoops' scheme, and that's what they've been building toward. So don't ding the kid and tell me that he's out of shape, because he's not. He just got bigger, and then they brought in a guy that wants to go smaller, and yeah, he already came in at 330.
Well, I think his mom. I talked to his mom. She said he's okay with the move. I mean, he's actually kind of. I mean, he understands, and I feel like, she made it sound like, hey, look, I mean, he understands the deal, and he has an opportunity under Bill Bedenbaugh to really progress and become a really good offensive lineman, because he is that athletic that he can do that. He is basically Jamal Brown part 2. If you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, just athletically, he can do both.
That's not in dispute here, right? I think we agree on that. But we also agree that Bray Walker could go either way. We also agree that any of these kids that had on a yellow jersey in January can play on either side of the ball. But I think there is something to be said for a kid that absolutely wanted to play one position or another. And sometimes, like we look at, say, let's use a real world example. Okay? Buki and Justin Broyles are corners. They both played safety last year. Were they awful? God, no. They were far from that. Were they amazing? No, either. Would they be better corners? Probably. Why? Because that's where their hearts are, right? Now, I get wanting to help out the team and wanting to get on the field, and at the end of the day, that's what you're going to do. But I'm not necessarily sold on Michael Thompson as an offensive lineman if he's even just a little bit thinking, man, it sure would be nice to be able to play the nose.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly built for the nose. I think he would have been a really good nose tackle as well. I don't know. Maybe they do try to do something with him where, he's an offensive guard or tackle, whatever they decide to move him, and maybe in goal line or short down and distance, they bring the guy in and let him plug the middle because he's that good. He can do that. I think that would be pretty interesting. I mean, other players have done it. Why couldn't they do something like that with him? And ultimately, that would help him when it comes time for awards and All Americans and stuff like that, because he's a multifaceted guy that can do multiple things out on the field that some other guys can't do.
Yeah, well, and again, that just gets me back to the whole idea of tweeners and the whole idea of positions.
Yep.
And I get that Grinch doesn't know what he has. I mean, that was what was mostly clear about
that's ultimately
this
what
presser,
it's down to.
right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he has, and he'll know a lot about what he has at the end of spring ball. But even then, we're not going to know a whole lot because there's still some kids out here that can absolutely contribute. Marcus Hicks, Joseph Wette, David Uwebu. Those are the ones that are coming off the top of my head, right? And I'm looking at what you're going to roll out there, and I'm not necessarily convinced that you're not going to do some moving and shaking. But also, if Kenneth Murray Jr. knows all your calls in the middle, right, and that's your smartest middle linebacker, you're going to have to leave him right there. But with this new defense, it seems like all of that could be up in smoke, but smarts is smarts. It's kind of like this whole, and I'm glad he spoke to this, the Charlie Casserly thing of, is that kid smart enough to play? And I think Kenneth Murray Jr. was moved to the mic because he's smart enough to play, right? And and if you got a hesitation or you don't know the calls and you're not the DC on the field, you can't play Mike. And I think that's being overlooked when we look at Kenneth Murray, because he is the kind of dude that looks like he needs to have 12 guys tackle him off the bus.
Yeah, agreed.
Go ahead.
He also has a guy that, Oklahoma also has two other guys that are really, really smart football players in Deshaun White and Levi Draper. So it's not like those guys have been Mike's their whole life. So
but
they're going to know and say what?
But who started?
Well, right. But, ultimately Draper got hurt, and then Deshaun was a freshman last year.
So the way that I would counter that is Kenneth Murray Jr. was a freshman, and he was told to play the Mike.
Right.
And I'm saying that if you could have had an opportunity to tell me that you could have started Deshaun White and Mike and Kenneth Murray Jr. at will, you would have probably done that, because then you're free to use Curtis Bolton in the way that you wanted to use Ryan Jones and Caleb Kelly all year. Anyway, we keep going on around it, and I get your point, though. Your point is well taken that you have other guys that can play the position, but you also have other guys that play the rush in that are coming in the summer, and I don't know where you're going to put Kenneth Murray Jr., but you got to have him on the field.
The lost guy in all this is Jalen Redmond.
Well,
everybody completely forgets how good he was when he was healthy last year.
But is he going to be healthy?
That's the question everybody wants to know, and we can't get a straight answer from anybody. No matter who you talk to, sources, whatnot, nobody wants to give you a straight answer on that, because I don't think anybody really knows how he's going to hold up once it all starts going. He's going, he's going through all this stuff and the winter and all that stuff, but what's going to happen when the pads start popping and the heat gets hot and all that stuff? Is something else going to happen just like it did last year twice? Riley came out and said when it happened, look, this isn't near as bad as the first time around. He said basically he could have come back last year, but they didn't want to rush him back in and risk it happening again. Do you feel that that's going to happen again during the spring? Nobody really knows. He's just got to go out there and try it. And if it does, it may be a lost cause for the kid. And that's the suckiest part about it, because he's got a chance to be something special.
All right, so every kid at Oklahoma has a chance to be something special. One.
Yeah, but he's
two.
Ridiculous.
No, I need that acknowledged. I do. I really do, because I fight that everywhere I go. Like, that kid didn't piss a drop. Okay, first of all, that kid picked Oklahoma when he probably would have been some sort of Division II All-American. If he goes to Abilene Christian. Abilene Cooper's a high school. If he goes to Oklahoma State, for instance, I look at a kid like Dylan Stoner at Oklahoma State, who's a good player for them, plays in the slot, pretty good. Does that dude even crack the lineup at Oklahoma? No.
Ooh, I think you don't think so.
No, you're so deep. That's what I'm saying. So Jalen Redmond,
he could, the thing about Stoner is he could have been a safety too, and a really, really good one.
Well, he could have been a safety really on a really bad defense last year. How about that?
Yeah, but he could have been a good one.
Well,
my deal with Redmond is he's only played 2 years of football.
Again,
literally only 2 years.
If you're Alex Grinch, you don't want to gamble on a guy that isn't a true blue 5-star recruit, because then you're giving reps away to somebody else that you know is going to.
But he is a 5-star. I mean, he was rated a 5-star.
Jalen Redmond, I got to look this up. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, like, Jalen Redmond's a 5-star?
I could have swore he was a 5-star coming out. Like, at the very
end,
he's
they
4-star.
5-star. He's 4-star. Now, he might.
That's
the composite.
5-star.
That's the composite. I'm looking at it. I'm staring at it. Because I was
So he's composite 5?
No, he's a composite 4. He is a composite 4. I mean, I guess
he was a 5-star on something. Because I know people made a big deal about it.
Wait a second. 247. He's a top 24/7 5-star. So on our parent rankings, he's a 5-star. In the composite, he's a 4-star. And I genuinely use the composite for most things, even as ESPN continues to screw up the rankings. But be that as it may, I know what I have in guys coming in, like Marcus Hicks, like Joseph Wette, like David Ugwebu. I know what I got in Mark Jackson. I know what I got in Ronnie Perkins. And I need Jalen Redmond to be able to go. And I don't need him to be able to go in the spring, right? I don't even need him to be able to go in the summer. But I need to know what I have in August. And if I don't have it, I don't want to – I hate to put it this way, but I don't want to give reps to that kid when I need to be giving them to somebody else.
Think about this.
Okay.
You call it the speed D, right? And,
right.
And
that's what they call it. I need to see it.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what they call it, and that's ultimately what they're trying to find, right?
Right.
Well, think about this. You have a guy who is basically known as a speed rusher, and Jalen Redmond, who's put on the weight that still ultimately kept his speed, according to what we're told, at 260 pounds or whatever he's weighing right now. You can put him down there at the 5. You can put Neville Gallimore running a 4.76 in the middle, and then you have Ronnie Perkins on the other side. That is speed rush right there. Then you have
where's Kenneth Mann
coming. I mean, he can rotate in and out of there. I mean, you're gonna have to rotate.
What? We're shading the captain?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm visualizing what you have talent-wise. You're calling it speed D. You want speed rushers. Those are your 3 fastest rushers on the defensive line. It's not even close.
I'm still not sold on that because I've seen Daegu Uwebu's footwork and I've seen Joseph Wette come off the ball. I'm saying
I watched him do that footwork. Or I don't even know what drill he was doing. That had nothing to do with football when I was watching it.
Let me put it another way. For the people that want to shade these drills that they don't understand and don't think they have anything to do with football.
I know they don't because I was texted by somebody that knows. What the heck is that?
Hey, can you ballroom dance? Can you?
Hey, man, I don't know.
Right, well, no. I mean, does ballroom dancing translate to football? It sure does. If you can get up on your toes and you can demonstrate balance and you can demonstrate changing direction, it doesn't matter that you don't recognize it as a football skill. You're taking up for a kid right now who's played 2 years of football. You're telling me that if he didn't have footwork, he wouldn't be able to play? Come on now.
He was a freaking all-state basketball player.
And what do you need to be a freaking all-state basketball player? You need outstanding feet. You got to be able to get back. So I'm saying that you have options.
I know he has good footwork. That's why I know he has good footwork.
I'm saying you have options, right? And because you have options, you're not married to the idea of putting Jalen Redmond on the field. That's what I'm saying, right? Because the whole thing with this defense
I want that kid to be on the field because
there you
I watched
go.
him play in high school. Yeah,
there you
I
go.
do.
I got that now.
I watched him, and I watched him dominate.
That's how I feel about Levi Draper, right? I want to see Levi Draper play football.
Feel that way about Levi
No. But I'm saying like the way where you were willing to die on that hill, right? On the Jalen Redmond hill of that dude can absolutely play.
Dude, I've been willing to die on the Draper hill long before anybody.
No, and I get that, right? But like that's what I'm saying is like me, if somebody was pinning me to the wall the way I'm pinning you to the wall on Draper, that's how I would feel.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that kid needs to play football. Like between him and Kenneth Murray Jr., I love those guys as linebackers, but the only other guy that I would fight for, I think, on this defense right now
is White.
No, really? I like White. I like Deshaun. I think his time is going to come.
Ronnie Perkins, right?
Nope. He's got the most upside. He's going to play. I don't have to fight Ronnie Perkins.
Neville?
Ronnie Perkins is a starter. Neville's going to be the starter by default because you just don't trust Q over 10.
I'm going to guess Buki, right?
No, you're not going to get there.
Okay. Fields?
Nope. Although he's going to play. He's going to be good.
No, yeah, he's going to be really good.
He's going to be good. He's probably the smartest DB
He's so
back
smart.
there.
He's so smart.
Smartest DB back there.
Yep, by far. Brown? Man, he's another one I figured you would.
Probably the fastest guy on the team.
He's the guy I in defensive back wise. Him and Fields are the guys I go out swing for. And Barnes.
I don't know, man. I used to be a Barnes.
Well, we're talking about. I thought we were talking about like people you know personally.
Oh yeah. No. The guy I fight for is Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones.
Oh yeah, well, I was on that ledge last year and I got freaking blasted for it.
But no, he's an 8th man in the box. He's a strong safety.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I'm with you 100% on that.
That man's upside is ridiculous.
It is.
Stop making him play the
I
Sam.
got blasted for that last year for saying exactly what you're saying.
God, he's a strong side safety. He's a strong safety. That's what he is. Let him go.
Well, he's 240 pounds. He's not a strong side safety anymore.
You know what? Cam Chancellor was 240 pounds.
Yeah,
that's what I
they
see.
Keep putting weight on this dude. I don't know.
You know what? If you're back to Lincoln in the press conference, slim him down. I mean, this is a guy that came up playing wideout. Come on, man. Like, just every time I see Ryan Jones on the field, good things happen. And then you put Caleb Kelly in there because I don't know.
To start the year.
He
was so good last year.
God, give that kid a shot. You know,
took him off, and he never got back out there for Caleb Kelly.
Because today, like right now, I gotta make Pat Fields my free, and I gotta make Ryan Jones my strong. Nickel is still a work in progress because I think that Jaden Davis is going to have an opportunity to compete for that job.
I'm with you with Jaden. I think Jaden and Buki are going to be.
But Jamal Morris is going to have a lot to say about it. Jeremiah Cradell is going to have a lot to say about it.
See, Jamal, I like Jamal. I like Jamal at strong
cerebral.
A lot.
Cerebral. Like,
yeah, he's so smart.
Kid just gets it. You know, so I mean, you got options back there, but like, I look at it another way.
That's what people don't get. There's so many options, and it's not. And people are like, "Dude, there's not that much talent back there." I'm like, "What are you all smoking?"
Well, okay, like, so
they're good. They just need taught up properly. Confidence has a lot to do with when you're a defensive back. Yeah, and if you don't have confidence and you're thinking, you're screwed. Played it from the time I was in first grade on, and it's. If you're not confident, you're gonna get beat 90% of the time because you're second guessing everything.
I'd be a heck of a DB coach, but I'm a quarterback with a linebacker's pedigree. So I just want no, man. I want a bunch of Jeremiah Trotters hit the gap every single time. Hit the A gap. Just anyway. No, I look at DBs in the same way that we look at running backs. You can never have too many, and somebody's gonna be hot and somebody's not. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
You know,
it's confidence,
and that's kind of the thing. The other part I wanted to bring up in Lincoln's presser.
But real quick, when we go back to that confidence, like you and I are talking about with defensive back, there's not one player on the defense that epitomizes that more than Parnell Motley.
Ooh.
But hear me out on this.
Okay.
So think about how he starts the year. He's so good the first 3 or 4 games. Like, just remember Ohio State, just ridiculous. Just shut down. Last year, the first 3 or 4 games, just completely shut down, makes plays, right? He gets beat once or twice, and the dude goes into a shell, and he never gets back. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, confidence is like the second it's taken from him, it's done. And it goes the same with, like, a wide receiver, Charleston Rambo. I was told by a guy that's, well knowledgeable about all that the second that guy picked it up and got the confidence, that's when he turned it on last year, and they're banking on that to still be happening going into this year and really, really, kind of
are they? Because Lincoln said something curious, which is we're really happy to have AD back because we're thin at wide receiver, to which my ears started going, wait, what?
Yeah, but then he talked about him being the guy to replace Marquise Brown later on.
I don't think he actually mentioned Marquise Brown or Charleston. I think he said
he did. He said he said the first of the guys that come to mind replacing him were Charleston Rambo and Jaquaylin Crawford.
Okay, so all right, well, I got some reservations about Jaquaylin, but also, what's wrong with Michael Jones? Like, I can't get a straight answer on that.
He can't stay healthy.
Well, I mean, then to me, that's a Jalen Redmond situation because when that dude's on the field, good things happen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he literally can't stay healthy to where he can't. I mean, he can't stay like.
And if that's the case, why did you move him to the outside?
Like a blood clot. Like this dude, like breaks bones.
Well, I mean, Rodney Anderson broke bones, and we can make an argument that dude couldn't stay healthy. But when he was on the field,
that's a fact. But I mean, he played more than Homeboys ever played.
Right, and I don't think that's. I think I know Michael was healthy for games that he didn't play.
Right, but I mean, he was healthy, but he wasn't like physically ready.
This has me on that tangent of like, I get asked a lot, if I had a kid, what position would he play, and yada yada yada, because parents and recruiting and what is good for my kid versus what's not good for my kid. Running back and wide receiver just seem to be filled with, if you don't have confidence or you don't have a coach's trust, you might not ever play. Because think about how good we felt about Bob Stoops' kid. Came out, looked good, played well, played one game. Like, basically got one game against his red shirt. Now, I get that he's walking on, but it also is a kid that had an opportunity to go to Iowa and Memphis, so he ain't no scrub. And when people want to talk about slot receivers, he's your prototypical possession slot receiver, dude. They can just get open.
He'll play this year.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah. If Bob Stoops' kid has a hard time getting on the football field and he's good, like, can you imagine? Like, and
Jalen Robinson was a prime example of that, and he's transferring. He did the same thing. He came out early.
Right.
But I mean, he had discipline issues though, so there's a difference.
Well, I mean, okay, that's another issue that I got is you just brought in 4 good receivers, 3 5-stars, according to whomever. Somebody is going to be gone, but somebody's always gone, right? Some wide receiver's always going to go. And we expected A.D. Miller to be a guy coming out of the box that didn't.
The thing they're doing, though, is they're going to move Trajan to slot, so I think he's going to play. And I think Weiss and Hazelwood will play. I think they will all 3 play quite a bit this year.
Yeah, but
because
Brandon, I counted the metrics.
They're moving Bridges in.
Brandon, I counted the metrics. They ran more tight end slot than they ran slot. So the dudes that were playing,
that's because they didn't have, like, last year because of injuries and being down to a guy that Jalen Robinson was a guy they brought in. He couldn't stay out of trouble, and then and just had issues.
He didn't play slot. He played outside.
They moved him into slot some too, and then they had obviously they had Drake, and then obviously he's a walk-on freshman, and then
you had Miles Tees,
and but then you're down to walk-ons again, basically a guy that they just put on scholarship.
Hey man,
and I mean that's why they did it.
Hey man, I look at it and said,
I mean you have a 5-star.
You just put Lee Morris on scholarship, and he played more snaps than Miles Tees. Okay, so I don't want to get that argument going because that kid's a walk-on too.
Do you consider him consider Morris a tight end or a wide receiver?
Tight end.
Really?
The same way that Mark Andrews was a tight end. He was a wideout in high school too.
Except for Mark Andrews put his hand in the dirt.
Look, they ran more slot with tight ends because they wanted to go big. All right, that's what I'm telling you is that they're phasing out the short dudes, and I'm not faulting him for that. Run what you're gonna run, but don't tell me that you're moving a guy inside because he's gonna make depth up there. You moved him inside because he's 6 feet tall.
Do you think that they're doing that, or do you think they're just playing to their strengths? Because Riley's known for being able to play their strengths because they played a whole bunch of other guys inside, and they did multiple things just because they had Andrews and Calcaterra. That's when they started doing big because that was their strength. I think if you have a Trajan Bridges on one side and you have a Calcaterra on the other, or Brayton Willis on the other, or a whoever on the other.
But they don't really like to run for a wide. When you're talking about what they play to their strengths with, they're going to run split back. They're going to run split back with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I get all that, but they'll be – I understand what you're saying, but I think Riley's smart enough to know that – and Bridges can do outside and inside too. So, I mean, that's where he's going to get to play a little bit more than most other – because he reminds me a lot of Shep a little bit in his skill set. Just because he can do inside outside, they move Shepard around everywhere.
You move Shepard around everywhere because you really didn't have depth, right? And that was the thing because that dude was supposed to be playing.
Well, and he was a mismatch hell for everybody.
You're a mismatch hell
in his routes.
No matter who you are, because you can be big and be a mismatch. You can be small and be a mismatch. You just have to be big and fast,
but he's
or small
so
and fast.
Good.
So, like, what I'm saying here is, You're telling me that they're playing to their strengths when you had basically 2 tight ends last year and you ran them all the time. That's not depth. That's not necessarily playing to your strength as a depth. That's just saying, hey, we're going to be able to beat people up if they're going to play a linebacker over the top of Grant Calcaterra or Lee Morris, and they did, right? So when they brought down a DB to cover up that guy, then you went to a Miles Tees, then you went to a Basquin, then you went to a Drake Stoops. But what you saw was 4-2-5 or 3-3-5, right? You saw dudes get covered up by safeties. And when they got covered up by big safeties, you're telling Grant Calcaterra or Lee Morris go get open, and guess what they couldn't do? You know, so like I get it. I get that you want to be able to cover all your bases, but I'm also just looking at it from the standpoint of how's my kid going to see the field? You know, like, and I know that's not necessarily what folks want to be asking or talking about, because they think that when you come to Oklahoma, you should just take what you're given and then compete for a job. But sometimes you get schemed out just because we look better when we run 4 guys across the board that are 6'3" or taller. And they do. And if you can recruit to that, do it.
You don't think that Trajan Bridges is good enough that they just go, man, we're going to have to scheme to make sure that he's on the field?
As a true freshman? No. I don't think
I'm not saying as a true freshman. I think he's going to get to play, though. I think he's going to play quite a bit.
Yeah, but the over-under that we need to play this game, and maybe we should need to play it closer to preseason of over-under 4 games, right? Which guy redshirts? You know?
I don't think either one of those 3 redshirt.
I don't know, man. I think one of them's redshirting.
I think Stogner might, but I hear Stogner is really impressive too. So I don't know.
Okay, who have you heard is not impressive?
You know, you hear that some guys have struggled and whatnot. I mean, some guys took more time to get acclimated than others. You know, Theo Weiss is a guy that I've heard kind of took a little bit of time to get acclimated, and he's finally started coming around. But I think a lot of that had to do with him being a little banged up. So. I think he's, you know, coming back on the men's and getting better, so they have high hopes for him. I mean, that's kind of little stuff that I hear, but Trajan was another guy that struggled a little bit to start. I mean, you talk to anybody that knows him, and they'll say, yeah, but once he got going, he's gotten going. The last couple of weeks, from what I hear, he's been really good, so we'll see.
I've heard.
But it is 7-on-7, so we can't really base much off that.
I mean, unless
it's
you're
just
playing.
the understanding of your routes and how to get open against certain defensive coverages is basically all it is. There's no real contact.
Well, I mean, I get that, right? And I think everybody listening gets that. But I no longer look at kids, even as early enrollees, and say, that kid right there, gonna play a lot of snaps. Because the talent is getting so deep on that side of the ball in particular. Mm-hmm. Now, defensively, we can still gamble on that a little bit, but I'm not even that I'm not sold on a lot of that, because you're getting lots of experience to guys that used to have 4 or 5 stars next to their names. Right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about I'm the first person to bring up Woody Washington in this particular conversation, and that dude was the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee, right?
Yeah, he was really good.
Right. So, and do we think that he knocks off Trey Norwood or Trey Brown or Parnell Motley this year? That's what I'm saying, right? So, like,
you know what? I'm not going to say he won't, because I'm not sold on. You know, I don't think he's going to knock off Trey Brown. I think Trey Brown starts because he fits what Grinch wants to do. Obviously, he's not tall like the guys that they're trying to recruit, but he's physical like the guys they're trying to recruit, and that's ultimately he's physical and fast. And he battles, man. That dude battles for everything. He's the one guy out there, you know, down in and down out that guy's battling for the ball. He's the hardest guy to throw on in Oklahoma secondary right now.
Right, so that's one corner.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think no. So if you're asking, I think Woody Washington has a chance on the other side. Yeah.
I think they all have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're all good, and I think in spring ball they're all going to have an opportunity. But again, Miguel Edwards had a pick this time last year. We hadn't heard word one about him. I think that's another guy that can play. If Buki or Justin Broyles moves back,
Miguel's the guy that you hear is making big strides right now. So I mean, ultimately, what is he gonna do during the spring? Because this is his time to shine. His time to put his foot forward. You know, going into fall and summer. Because if he doesn't, then he's gonna be on the back burner when these other guys get in here, and they're gonna want to see these new guys come in because they've already seen what they got out of these spring guys. Spring is going to be huge right now for the perception for these players right now on campus going into summer, because they're going to want to see what these freshmen are going to do when they get on, the guys that aren't early enrollees, when they get out here come June, July, August, and see what they can do before they're going to give those other guys another shot, in my opinion.
Bro, we said this last year. We said this last year. And Levi Draper had a game. Miguel Edwards had a game. Buki looked good. We did all of this spring. Like, I'm no longer going to hype spring. I'm just not going to do it. Because one of us is going to get burned. Because we saw some really good stuff in spring ball that just doesn't seem to matter when preseason camp comes.
The difference is one, the staff is completely different.
And not on the offensive side of the ball.
But on the defensive side it is, and that's ultimately what we were just talking about. And they're the guys that we're trying to figure out who's going to do what. Well, we know on the offensive side of the ball they're going to be good. Like, that's not even a question. It's how are these guys going to play on defense, who's going to play, and how are they going to stand out during spring? Because Grinch is a guy that this spring matters to him, and he's not coming in with any bias. And that's the beauty. I mean, we all know Mike Stoops and that staff, they had a little bit of bias because of, previous seasons and being around these guys. Everybody builds bias. But right now, these guys don't because they haven't been around them.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see, because I think football coaches are football coaches. Like, I get it. I understand.
I get what you're saying. But, they can't go in and go, well, this guy. They haven't been able to see these guys live. That's ultimately what's going to change their mind in comparative to what they saw on film last year, because what they saw on film, they're going to want all the guys that were behind them to get a better shot over the starters because it was that bad.
Oh, man. Okay, so, like, this is where I'm going to ride for.
And I'm just making a tongue-in-cheek joke.
Well, I get where you're going, but I'm also, what you just said is fueling the fire to the people that don't think that Kenneth Murray Jr. can play. Or think that he was bad last year.
Well, then they're crazy because that guy has been really good. He is not the problem on defense.
Right. And I'm saying, like, of all the things that you wanted to say about this defense, I can point to a handful of dudes that absolutely deserve an opportunity to be at the front of the line come drills. And that's what we're talking about, I think. I don't think we're talking about guys that are going to start in the spring game. I'm talking about who's leading drills. Okay? Because that's how you establish hierarchy on a football team. People who played football understand. Your place in line is your place in line. And nobody's letting you just have their place in line. And most of the time, coaches be like, yo, so-and-so, first up, let's go. And that lets you know who is at the top of the depth chart, right? So, like, if you looked at this right now, and we played this game, Trey Brown's leading, Buki's leading.
But before you do this, Grinch did say the depth chart is going to change every day during the spring.
Okay, that means there is no depth chart.
Pretty much, yeah, but I mean, he wants people to be able to fight and compete. That's his way of saying, if you want to keep that spot, show out today, and you'll be back in that same spot tomorrow.
Again, football speak. Football coaches are football. I'm not buying into this, man.
I understand what you're saying, man. Trust me.
Okay, I feel like.
But I'm trying to believe him at face value right now.
I think
because we don't know any better right now.
You know what? Lincoln Riley walked into Austin Kendall's living room and said pretty much the same thing. Okay. All right, you made me pull that out. Like, that's where I'm at right now, because I don't want anybody lying to me about what is and what isn't. I just want to go out there and do my job.
Jalen Hurts became available, so you don't turn that down.
Well, okay, and we're gonna figure that out, right? Because we saw how this played out up north, right? Stillwater, you had Taylor Cornelius, and you had Mr. Texas football. And Spencer Sanders, and Mike Gundy decided to ride with the kid that's been riding with him the whole time, more than anything else, to demonstrate to everybody that he's loyal, right? To demonstrate to his kids, especially the ones that, like J.J. McCleskey.
Are you saying that he's going to be he's going to be corn dog? Is that what are you predicting?
I'm saying that he would have been if he'd have said Austin Kendall was my quarterback, right? Because what was Jalen Hurts? What were Jalen Hurts' options? They were Oklahoma, Miami, Maryland, and staying to Alabama. Ultimately. Which one of those teams gives him an opportunity to win a championship?
Oklahoma.
Okay. Does Austin Kendall not give you an opportunity to win a championship?
I don't know.
That's my point right there, right? So, like, when I say football coaches are football coaches.
Because we've seen it.
Well, I'm saying, like, when I say football coaches are football coaches, right? I'm saying that what they're saying right now isn't necessarily what's going to be true. They will mean it with every bit of their fiber today. But then Jalen Hurts comes available. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just not ready to Because if a coach told me that the depth chart is always in flux, I'm just saying, okay, you're not going to go in there and move magnets around. Cool. But how's that going to change how I play? It's not, or it shouldn't. I should just show up to work and try to beat the guy in front of me. Because if I start thinking about, coaches getting in my head about the depth chart isn't set, the only people that are kind of scared about that might be the starters, but they'll know what you know. They didn't play well. They understand. I mean, just treat the kids like adults. That's all I'm saying, man. They're adults. I know we call them kids because you and I, we get to know them when they're 15, 16 years old, sometimes younger than that, and we feel like we've known them for a long time. But the more that I stay around this and the more that I talk to former players, the more I talk to guys in the league, they say the smartest thing that they ever did was sit down, shut up, and let what they mostly say from a hype standpoint go one ear out the other. When they say technique, right? When they say, hey, you got to be able to do this better, that's when your ears perk up. But if you're listening to, hey, you're going to lose your spot, you probably already lost it.
Yep. I agree.
On the message board where our VIP members are, we had, Drumm put up a list of, he put up a post where folks could ask what they wanted us to talk about. So I'm going through it right now. And I thought there was a really good one that was tailor-made for Drumm, which is for OU Intex. This is his question. I would like more information on who we already have on the team and less on the young men we are recruiting for 2020 and 21 and 2022.
I responded to that.
Well, I saw that, but you can respond to that one on the board. On the podcast. I really hope that as spring practice approaches, we get less talk about athletes who may never come to OU and more about what's going on with current players, just one fan's opinion. Now, give your take on that take, but also please answer the question.
That's easier said than done.
Right.
Right. If I told him on the board and I said it politely, because I appreciate every member that we have. If I said everything that I heard, half the crap's rumors and unconfirmable stuff, and that would be just irresponsible journalism if I did that. And obviously we have content galore, but we would look like complete idiots, or at least I would 90% of the time, and ultimately so would the rest of the team because guilty by association. But as far as who we have, I think we've been doing that basically this whole podcast. We haven't talked recruiting one time. Right. And I just that's the reason I pointed that one out first, right? Is to basically give you an opportunity to dunk on that person because you're being a Debbie Downer. And I understand wanting more team information, but also we're not Charlie Casserly. Like that's kind of my bit on this is you and I both hear a lot. You and I both keep a lot to ourselves because we're going, okay, let me go suss that out first because that might be like we've done this on the phone. I've called you and been like, hey, hadn't heard much about this kid. This is what I got. And sometimes it lines up and other times it's like, nah, I didn't hear that. I don't think that's a thing to run with. Yeah. Right? So we do that. Yeah, because people just say stuff and you're just like, okay, well, and somebody, you hear it from people that are normally spot on, but sometimes you're like, that doesn't sound like anything that could be right. And then, sometimes we're wrong and it is right, but a lot of times, our gut feeling is right the first time and we're the right ones on, what we've heard and deciding whether it's true or not. And after we've obviously dug through and sift through all the information and talked to people, it's harder than it leads on to be because you can't just come out and say, hey, this guy is running a 4.2 540. I heard it. Well, no, you need multiple people to tell you that. You can't just go off and say it. There's got to be some proof in the pudding before you put it up on a message board because what we put up on VIP, it's VIP, but ultimately somebody takes it and says it somewhere else, and then our name's attached to it.
Which is the point,
we look like
right?
fools.
That's the point, right? The point is for our VIP members to feel like they know something that perhaps others who are just kind of on the outside literally looking in don't know. And that's the reason that we are very judicious about what we put up there. But also, there are times when I got it nailed, and I'll tell Brandon that. He's like, yeah, man, put that up. Or he has it nailed, and he just goes and puts it up. So it's not as if we're just doing this willy-nilly because, frankly, my reputation, my word means a lot. I know yours does too, and that's what we got in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to take on this particular question that I thought was pretty good, as a tease more than anything else. Should we expect more offers this year compared to last year with Grinch picking out guys trying to rebuild relationships? What is Ringo's plan? And is it possible to pick up Ringo, Covington, random and Sellers?
Yeah, he meant Ransom.
Ransom,
means Ransom.
Right. Does Spencer's recruitment help us with these kids, considering all of Arizona? Now, just as backdrop here, Seguro has 3 guys that are absolutely awesome prospects. I'm not sure that all 3 end up here. I'm not sure that I would bet on one. I would bet on one at this point. The other 2, I'm not really sure. I'm not going to say which. But if you've been reading the board, you have an opportunity to know that. Now, Ringo is the Pied Piper, even as he doesn't know he's the Pied Piper. That's a kid that just kind of, the more I talk to him, the more he kind of keeps to himself. But when you look at him and you see him play, you're like, good God, man. You know who he reminds me of?
Like, who's that big out of the corner?
People are gonna get really upset with me when I say this, but I look at his size, not his skill set, his size. His comp is Cortez Johnson.
It's a good comparison.
Thank you. Right? And every time I bring that up, people are like,
him and Richard
I hate
Sherman
you, RJ.
I think of him and Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I mean, because the length and but he's just bigger than Sherman.
Yep. Yeah, he's bigger than Sherman. Yeah, definitely.
Which is really ridiculous to think about as a high school kid, but it's true.
You want to know who the other one is that I thought of the first time I watched him?
We got
Chijoke Onyegetcha.
Oh my God, 5-star man. All right, him or RJ Washington, biggest 5-star.
They were both They were both built like freaking Greek gods.
Right. It's like, man, you just made somebody so happy and so upset because there's a group of people that don't know who you're talking about, and there's other people being like, "Oh my God, that person." Nice pull.
Chijoke Onyegetcha.
Nice pull.
The biggest hype guy to come through Norman outside of Smoke. What was his name? Smoke. Oh my gosh. The linebacker, Chris.
Bryce Youngquist.
Chris. No, not Bryce.
No, I know.
I'm not getting into that.
Oh my God.
Chris,
Jacob Phillips. What?
Chris Patterson.
Oh yeah.
Smoke Patterson.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, all right. So we just comped 2 dudes that absolutely did not work out at Oklahoma to what is the best cornerback in the 2020 class. When Elias Ricks made the move to corner, like as a recruit, I was like, oh, okay, now we got competition. But even then,
it's Keeley.
I was about to say, I got to tell you, though.
It's Keeley. Yeah.
I got to tell you, though, the biggest upside is Keeley. But the guy I expect to be the better pro is Elias. Now, I know that's hurting everybody's feelings because that kid's committed to LSU.
No. I get what you're coming from.
Okay.
Right. I get what you're saying there. Yeah, I got you because Elias is more. I mean, that guy's more trained up. He's a lot more smooth. I mean, that guy.
He's also taller, by the way.
Yeah, he's longer.
He's 6'3" already.
Just his technique is just stupid good. Yeah, but as far as like raw ability, Keeley is by far, man. That guy's so good too. And Oklahoma has a shot. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, the Oklahoma has a legitimate shot at him. The only issue there is the same issue you're going to run in with Covington and you're going to run in with Sellers, and that's, their coach is former Texas Longhorn. So
I think that okay, I'm going to go ahead and hedge here. If you're asking me to nail it today,
I would say Oklahoma leans if you're the first thing.
I would say you got one Oklahoma lean in there.
Yeah, by far. Not even close. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
who do you who do you think I'm calling the Washington lean?
Washington?
Yeah.
Probably Sellers.
No.
You think Ringo?
Yeah. Like, I get that Texas is the hype, and I understand it, right? And I get the Texas
I knew that
deal.
Those are the 3 schools that he likes, was Washington, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Yeah, but okay, so put this also together. Who was the last great corner to come out of Seguro? It's Byron Murphy. Where did Byron Murphy go?
That's right.
right? Who was his boy?
Yeah,
Who was the first team that was in on him? Like in a big way.
that's true.
What's closest to his home? Where did he move from? People forget he moved from I think Seattle.
Yeah.
Or Tacoma.
Yeah, and he's friends. He's real close with Smalls.
Right.
I can't remember how do you say his friend. So, man, I can't ever pronounce a kid's first name. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah,
the other 5-star.
But I'm
DB.
I'm saying that people are really, really not understanding what we're putting out there, or at least what I'm putting out there. I'm not going to throw your name in that. But Washington has the inside track here in a way that OU and Texas just don't. You know,
yeah. The good news is that, I mean, we've already put up on the board weeks ago. Ringo's coming in for the spring game. Right. So is Sellers. Right. So is
he was supposed to be here for Junior Day.
Yeah, both of them were. Covington did show up, but they
all three
Sellers
of them were supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, Ringo went to the Pylon 707 tournament in Vegas. They backed out like last minute, like on a Thursday. I just remember getting a text from Ringo saying, "Hey man, I'm not coming," and Sellers was like right behind him. But Covington stayed true, and I think that right there was the fact that Covington came by himself and had such a good time and was able to go back and sell that to those two is something Oklahoma like. Normally it's bad, when somebody backs out and they don't make it, but it almost helps solidify the fact that they're going to come in on an official now because of just how much he's hyping up. Covington's hyping that up.
It's a great point. It really is. It's a great point, especially piggybacking on Lincoln saying, hey, look, spring game this year, it's going to be bigger than last year. And y'all remember, that was an extremely big deal. 52,000 people.
Yeah, 50-something thousand
right,
people. Yeah.
Broke the record at Oklahoma by 9,000 with crap weather. You had 7 commits, but you got 11 dudes that showed up that are Sooners, right? So the fact that you can get that guy coming back with hype, right, after getting hyped up about, hey, y'all missed out on Junior Day, obviously it's a really good look for you. But what I want to know, and what I think we'll find out, just the kids got to get here, who's the guy that he's going to get tight with on this staff? Right? Because I thought it was Grinch because Grinch had tied to Ohio State.
By
and took
far,
a visit.
I think Manning's the guy. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, right?
Or Viney. Viney's actually a good guy to get tight with.
Well, I think he would.
Viney seems to be the guy when I talk to these defensive backs right now. Yeah, and I got another couple things coming on the board here in the next day or so. Dude, Viney's a guy that a lot of these guys are like, hey, I talked to Viney, but they don't talk about Viney as a guy that they're super close with. They just say they talk to him a lot. But they bring him up in a way that, like, hey, I really like him because he gets me. He's young. But they talk about Grinch and Manning as guys that just completely relate. People forget Grinch and Manning are young. Like, they're young and they're
Grinch is doggone near 40.
Yeah, but that's young and Coach.
Coach. I think of Lincoln as young. I don't. Okay, so like I understand what you're getting at when you're saying I think the mean average of a coach at the coordinator level is like 57.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like he still gets it.
No, it's not. But Tim Kish could bring him in too. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, he did. Tim was a good recruit.
But Tim also was the guy that. Tim was understated as a guy that could relate to folks. You brought this point up. I think either in talking with me, I'm not sure if it was on the podcast, but it was, look, man, Spencer Rattler and Mark Andrews, we owe that to Tim Kish. That guy brought those people to the table, and we don't know enough about the staff. We don't know enough about their track record. We know who they're offering, and we know what early conversations are like, but I remember just doing the due diligence on Alex Grinch, and I asked Mike Leach about this. Look, can the guy recruit? And he's like, you never really know until you get a guy there. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out real quick. But, again, the guys that they've taken so far on defense, they aren't his. You know? So, basically, we don't know. Like, who's the first domino to fall? Like, that's a VIP post, so don't answer that question. But
yeah, but who I think the first domino defensive back to fall.
Right.
We've pretty obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of when, right? Now, I get stacking up your commitments. I get that, you want to keep your momentum going, and you'll flat out just talk to kids, be like, so when were you thinking about doing this? XYZ. All right, well, it works best if we do it on this day. And all right, whatever. And those are conversations that are had all across college football, right?
Yeah, I will say this. There's a Bama commit in Jacquez Robinson out of Jacksonville.
Who is taking the trip? Yeah, to spring game.
And he flat out told me. He said, "Look, I have OU, LSU, and Alabama as they're tied for me." He goes, "I'm committed to Bama because I loved it." He goes, "But if I go to Oklahoma and I love it, I'll flip." Like, he's not a guy that's tied down. He sounds to me like a kid that really is torn between three schools, and he named Grinch as the reason why.
Okay, so
I thought that was kind of interesting.
that is I'm gonna say that's the glass half full look at that view. I'm still in this I'm in this conflicted zone of, especially as I get to know kids, because I usually get to know them really well after commitments, right? Because then you just have the opportunity to talk for a while. But
because they'll talk to you because you're an OU guy.
Right. But also, when you commit to Alabama, and you commit this early, I feel like Nick Saban and Carl Scott and Pete Golden's like, look, it's on the table right now. Do you want it right now? And you're gonna take it if you're smart, right? And then you'll be like, all right, cool. Now that I got this, now that I have this spot locked up, I'll still take my visits and whatnot. But who's to say they don't get let's for the sake of argument, and this is not anywhere near happening, okay? People, this is a speculation. For the sake of argument, let's say that Elias Ricks flipped from LSU to Alabama. Who's the first kid out the door? Who's the first kid you're going to be like, you know what? We're sorry that you wanted a 3-4-star. Right. So I think that a lot of that is because that was really weird, right? Because when that happened, we were like, wait a second. Huh? They're taking kids?
Yeah, he just got done telling us LSU and OU were tied for 1 and 2.
Right, and I think
tied for his top schools. Yeah,
and we, it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, that's not a camp offer, and some of them are.
No, it was a legit offer.
Right.
Like, I mean, he did it in person. They committed in person. Saban took it. So it was, and if you saw, I saw him in person, man.
He's 6'3".
Oh my God, he's so tall.
Yeah, I mean, he's a.
And his hips are so.
Ringo's much more polished.
Yeah.
That's when you look at Ringo and you look at Robinson, you see a bigger kid, right, in Ringo, because the dude just does not look like he's going to be playing corner, except he will. And that's really the difference, right? It's that and a little bit of polish. Because, again, I keep telling people, the guy that I would bet on right now, today, in the 2020 class, out of all of these kids, and I'm talking about the quarterbacks too, is still Elias Ricks. I watched that kid play, and I see Pat Peterson.
Oh, last year at the opening as a sophomore.
Oh, God, yes, right?
He was ridiculous.
I mean, and the only guy that gave him trouble was Weiss, and even then, I saw him pick it off.
Hazelwood gave him a little bit of fits, too.
Okay, all right. So I didn't see the Hazelwood reps. Yep. I didn't see the Hazelwood reps. But
I just happened to be, because I was up there at the top one time.
But he's a 2020 kid with 2019 kids.
Yeah.
That was the other thing.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden people are shading Jace McClellan, and I'm going, all right,
dude,
y'all didn't see this kid
if
play.
They're doing that, my gosh, not just the state title game, but Sunday at the Dallas opening.
All right, so get into that. Get into your takeaways from that.
Fools. Just Chase McClellan's a freak. He is so good. He's not going to blow you away with his 40 or anything like that, but you throw the pads on where you throw those cat and mouse games with him, and he's impossible, because there's something about him that he sees the game faster than you're moving. And that means you're moving slow compared to what he's doing, because he's always 2 or 3 steps ahead of you in everything that he does. And that, as a running back, that's Joe Mixon, that's Adrian Peterson, that's Samaje Perine. They're always going to be a couple of steps ahead, because they can see the play happening. They can see the holes opening up. They can see the defender's movement, exactly what they're going to do before they do it. That you can't teach that, and he has that. And he's ridiculous. He's big. He's got thighs that look like tree trunks, and he's solid to Oklahoma. I mean, the guy says, I'm taking visits, but it's going to take a ton to pull me away from OU, because I feel like I fit that offense. And he's coming up to take his official visit on the spring game. So they're bringing in all their commits to really, really help these guys that are not committed come in. I wouldn't be shocked to see 5-6 commits again on the spring game again. I mean, that's just ultimately what and I'm not talking about just 2020. I'm talking about 2021. Maybe some 2022 kids will commit. I don't know, but Riley has this spring thing down to an art. It's pretty impressive after 1 year just how good they had this thing out done. But as far as like the Dallas regional, I mean,
Well, let me
Ethan,
throw some names at you. Let me throw some
okay,
names at you because we're running out of time here.
okay,
In particular, I'm going to throw three, and I want you to give me bite-sized information because there's
okay,
a
I got
bunch
you.
of the stuff is on the board, people. So
Yeah,
you either read it already or you need a subscription. All right, let's start with 2020. Tell me what you thought of Drew Sanders.
dude, he's massive. Like you watch him on film, but seeing him in person and standing there talking to him. Okay, I'm 6'1". Okay, he makes me look small. I'm 6'1", 225. He makes me look small, man. He is ridiculous. He's in that. There were people up in the stands, um, and they were all talking. I went up there. My wife and kids came up, and um, obviously there was a family that came down with us because their friends um, was competing at the quarterback. Um, and one of the kids on the OU team. So, but anyways, we all met and stuff down there, and but they were all talking about it, and the people behind us were like, "Who is that guy that's 34, whatever his number was?" And I was like, "That's Drew Sanders, committed to OU." Like, he is massive. Nobody could believe that he was just a junior. They thought he was already in college. So I mean, he's ridiculous. He can play linebacker, tight end, whatever you want this kid to do. I think he's going to be a good rush end for Oklahoma because I think he's going to put on 30, 40 pounds and be just Dan Cody-esque for Oklahoma, would be my guess. He reminds me of like Dan Cody or like a bigger Jeremy Bill, just really twitchy off the edge. Um, who else do you
Okay,
want to talk about?
give me a little bit on Prince
And
Dorba.
he deserves to be a 5-star by the way. Definitely
I think Drew
5-star.
Sanders is going to get there. Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
agree on that.
he already is. He's 13th, so they just haven't given the stars out yet. But yeah, he's gonna be a 5-star. Anyway, who else?
Prince Dorba.
Slender than I thought he was, but I attribute that because of basketball. He's been playing basketball. Um, I, the guy is so quick off the edge. His first step, he knows how to use his hands. He went with Tommy Brockmeyer out of St. Episcopal in Fort Worth. He went toe to toe with that guy, and that guy's going to be a 5-star. And he was really good. Brockmeyer, 2021 offensive tackle.
I hate that drill. By the way, I just gotta say it. I hate that drill because
With
I think
the
it's a
one-on-ones?
pass. I think it's a pass rush drill. I think that the offensive lineman.
It is. It's definitely pass rush.
Yeah, I think that when they beat up on these kids that are 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever. I'm gonna tell you, like, this is just my peeve. All right, this has nothing to do with what Brandon saw. I'm just tired of watching just two dudes play tackle who happen to be 6'7", 6'8", be able to fend off these kids because it's not a drill that is built for them to succeed. It's just for them to be made to look fools, and I don't like it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, the Brockmeyer was so good. Yeah, Dorba's Oklahoma has a really good shot there. He grew up idolizing Obo Okoronkwo. Kind of, wants his game to be just like his, and really tries to mirror his game after Obo. So, and they play the same position. So I talked to Barton Simmons, and that's who we both turned and we're like, he reminds us of Obo. I mean, just everything about the way he goes about his speed rushes and everything. The only thing he doesn't do is the spin move that Obo got down, but Obo didn't perfect that till his junior and senior years of college. So that he's going to be a guy to watch. Oklahoma has a really good shot. I think he says Oklahoma is definitely going to get an official. So that's one to watch, and he's got a chance to be a 5-star as well later on as the rankings progress.
And last guy before we get out of here is dude you're very high on. We've been talking about it for a little while. 2021 Ethan Downs.
Yeah, he was really good again. He won the MVP at the Army All-American Combine in San Antonio, and he was beating up on 2020 4- and 5-star offensive linemen like they were nothing. And he did it again this past week. So, I mean, man, he's good. He's raw. He's never been taught how to rush. Never. And you could tell when they moved him inside, he moved himself inside because he wanted to get more reps. And afterwards, he walked. He was like, "Should I have done that?" I was like, "No," because that hurt him. He could have been top 5 at that point as far as performance goes. But the last 2 or 3 reps, he moved inside, and rushing inside between the tackles is way harder when you don't have your outside shoulder free to do whatever you want to do. So he is going to learn, and he's going to be really good, and he's going to weigh about 250, 260, maybe 270. And he ran a 4.71 or whatever it was at 235 pounds. So he's an impressive individual that is going to be really, really special. And I know we say that a lot, but he is. I mean, the guy is so raw that he has a chance. This spring, he will have double-digit offers by the end of the spring, guaranteed.
I mean, that's 10, so he's like 6
Yeah, but
now.
I mean, he's a sophomore though.
Yeah, okay. I get you. I'm not trying to be a downer on that, but I'm just saying, if he doesn't get the
There's
10,
not a lot of 2021 kids with 10 offers. I mean, that's fine.
No. But to be fair, you're not covering the kid if he's not the kind of kid.
Like in Weatherford, Oklahoma, is another thing.
All right, so it's been a while since we did these sorts of things, but Brandon's got a life, I've got a life. We're trying to make this work. He's working, I'm working. We both work at the same place, which is OUinsider.com. This is OUinsider.com podcast. We would appreciate it if you rate and review the podcast. Tell your buddies to subscribe and, flex on them because you're a member or you're not. If you're not a member, you're being flexed on. And I know that Brandon and Colin Kennedy are going to have a lot more from the Dallas Open and Regional. They had a good time. They got a lot of information.
Yep, we're headed down to Houston in a week. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. So.
And you're also going to get plenty of spring football practice notes because the availability is tomorrow. And also, Pro Day is next week, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot to say about the most watched Pro Day in the nation. Huh?
Prediction, what do you think Kyler runs at 40?
4.38.
I was going to say 4.37. Oh,
okay. We'll see. That's going to be it's going to price is right.
What do you bet? Marquise Brown, do you think he runs or doesn't run?
No, he's not going to run. He's done. We're never going to know his 40 time. He's barely going to be healthy enough for rookie camp.
I know. I agree. I just thought some people are trying to say that he might run. I just don't see it.
No, he's not going to run, but I'll put this out there before we go. I got this video that's going up on Thursday. This podcast will be out on a Wednesday. I talked with Jeff Badette, who dropped 4.27 last year at his 40, about how he was able to do it and who he thought were the fastest. That's a free story on OUinsider.com that I wrote, where he was basically guessing at these guys' 40s in Rodney Anderson, Marquise Brown, and Kyler. Really interested to see.
Do you think Rodney runs?
I mean, at his personal pro day, because he's not going to run at this one.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to run it. I don't think he's going to run it.
3 weeks.
I don't think he's going to run it.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I
don't either.
I think, Badette thinks he's a 4.4 guy.
I agree.
I agree.
I think he's low 4.5s, high 4.4s.
I've blown out my ACL twice. I haven't got faster after blowing out my ACL.
Oh, I thought we were talking pre. Okay, well.
No, we're talking about today. We're talking about right now.
Okay.
That's what matters.
I was like, when I watched him play, he looked like a low 4.5.
No. I would agree with that, but I'm saying I need to see it now. After having surgery on that knee,
he's probably a high 4.5, low 4.6.
I'm thinking he's at 4.5 flat. I'm not ready to say 4.49. Right? That's it.
I got you.
I think whatever Josh Jacobs would have put down, Rodney Anderson could probably run with him. And that's who you really got to compete with in this class, because Justice Hill to me is the top tailback. Just period.
Yeah, who do you think, before we go, outside of, who do you think gets drafted first? Ford or Brown?
Ford.
That's a tough question, though, huh?
Yeah, well, okay, so look, when we're looking at the draft, we're talking about need, right? We're not talking about the best player. We're talking about need. And I see that McShay has Brown going number 15 to Washington, and God knows they need wideouts, right? But I just think that there's going to be people that pass on that guy. Too. I think he's – people are going to hate me for this. He's going to slide out of the first round. I think he's a Mixon. I think he's a guy that is going to be a take at the top of the second round.
You talking about Ford or Brown?
Hollywood,
okay.
Yeah.
So you think Ford's going to go – he's going to go mid – I think he's going to go mid-first round, probably 15, 16, something
I'm
like
thinking round 25, 23. I mean –
You think? Okay.
McShay had 23 for the Texans. which makes
I
sense.
thought it
to
was
me.
between 15 and 20, so we're not too far
No,
off.
no. But I don't. I'd be shocked if 3 OU guys went first round in this draft. Not because they're not good, but because they don't always fit the need, right? Because if Kyler doesn't go 1, I got reason to believe he slides to 13, and I just don't necessarily see
Miami.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see Marquise.
I
going
really
at
wish the
15.
Broncos would do something, man. That's pissing me off.
Flacco. We haven't talked about this.
I don't want to talk
I
about
was about to say we gotta have the segment where I just rip Brandon about his Broncos. My God.
Freaking hate my life right
Joe
now.
Flacco.
When I saw that, I think I woke up to it from like a nap and just wanted to throw my phone.
Oh my God. Because I was like, wait a second, what's wrong with Keenum if you're gonna get Flacco? And people are like,
God,
Super Bowl ring.
So why
Oh
not
my
just
God,
go out
what?
and draft a good quarterback? I mean, hey, dude, trade for Josh Rosen for Christ's sakes. Do it, please.
Oh my God, it ain't happening because. Dude.
I know, but please do it. Give them what do we have, the 11th pick, 10th, something like that. Give it to them.
Oh my God, all right. That's going to do it for this episode of Young and Drumm. We're trying to do this more regularly, but you know what?
Yeah, it'll be better. My travels, I'm bringing my microphone now.
Well, I mean, even then, right? Stuff happens. Like news will break, and
yeah,
we'll be like,
we started one and then a freaking technical difficulty.
No, that was the worst.
That was awful.
That was the worst.
It was
We
awful.
had to scrap it. That was like 3 weeks ago too.
Yeah.
So it's not as if we weren't trying, and we are, because we enjoy jamming with each other. This turns into sports radio a lot, and that I could end up arguing with Brandon about circular issues. But at the end of the day, it's my bud. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad that he's enjoying it, and we're gonna keep it going.
Reserve.
All right, talk to you guys later. Deuces.
See y'all.